Hi, welcome to another Walk It Out episode. Today I'm walking with my bike, so you might hear the movement of the wheels. Walking with my bike because I'm going somewhere and I want to be able to come back with my bike, but I don't really feel like recording while cycling. I think it would be a bit dangerous. So I'm going to walk alongside my bike, just as I would walk alongside a horse if we were in a different time. And I guess that's what I want to talk about today. The horse. I want to talk about the call of the wild. Because it's what is alive in me right now and what's been alive in me for the past week or so. If you don't already know, I'm originally from France. And what has been happening at the time I'm recording this episode, which is the summer of 2026, is that there has been a lot of fires in France in different parts of the country, but those fires are very difficult to control, and they have been destroying a lot of wildlife and also human habitat, houses. And it's been quite painful to watch, even from afar, because I don't live in France anymore right now. And it's just been very interesting to notice how much more connected I have been with nature lately. In a way where nature doesn't really feel like something external anymore, but more a part of me, or I'm a part of it. Both are true. And so it's like I've been feeling the pain of not only of humans, but of other realms. And we have been conditioned in this modern world, but I would say for centuries and centuries, to believe that we are separate from nature, that nature is something outside of ourselves and that humanity doesn't belong to it. And through this belief, we have crafted a world that is so disconnected and so harmful to ourselves and to other species. And it's been breaking my heart to realize that and to reconnect to that reality after a few years of maybe wanting to not feel those feelings of grief, of fear, of frustration and anger towards this world we live in. After years of focusing on myself in order to feel empowered, I have come to realize that there's only so much you can do by yourself. And at some point, you do need community. You do need to build with other people. And also you do need to build with other realms, other species. You do need to connect and listen to things that are not only human. Listen to trees, listen to plants, animals, insects. Listen to the rain, the water, the lakes, the rivers. Listen to the clouds and the fire and the sun and the moon. Things that in ancient times people would do very naturally, very earnestly. And that today, hearing what I say today would be frowned upon by many people who are conditioned to think in a so-called rational way. And that rationality is actually perpetuating a lot of disease and a lot of ignorance of what is our true nature and how much power there is in connecting to it. So I've been with that a lot, and I've been yearning. So alongside this grief, there's been yearning for going back to my wild nature. I've been reading this book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's not the first time that I read it, but I hadn't taken it up again for a few years. The first time I met with this book was, I think, in 2016 or 2017. In 2017, I think. And it was a very unexpected encounter at a residency place in the north of France, where I was spending time to work on my violin exam at the time, as I was ending a cycle at the conservatory in Paris. And I just check, I think I got lost on my way. Yeah. I was just looking at the map. Yeah, in real time. I'm really walking. This is not set up. And I'm really going somewhere this time. Because most of the time when I do record those walk it out, I don't really have a direction, a place to go. I'm just taking a walk. Yes. So I'm rereading Women Who Run with the Wolves. And this book is really magical. It's really powerful in the way that it goes into your subconscious through stories, through tales. Tales that are very ancient, that speak to our deep knowing, our deep wisdom. And it has opened a door in me. And the first door it has opened was really about coming back to myself in a very daily, mundane, practical, simple way. Just coming back to my body, sensations, being in the present moment. But the second door that has been open more recently is this deep yearning for the wild, this deep yearning for being closer to trees and plants and animals. And it feels like going to a park or to a local forest that's close to a city. It's not enough. It feels like it's still too little for me right now. For years, I have been content with those nice parks and walks in nature, but a type of nature that has been tamed by humans and that has been almost artificially fabricated by humans. Of course, it doesn't mean that, right now I'm walking into a very small forest close to my place. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't mean that the trees are not nurturing me in some way. But the way concrete has taken so much space, the way nature is being disrespected, and the fact that people are throwing a lot of things, and in the way that it's not seen as part of ourselves, but just like as a decoration or something, is really painful and heartbreaking. And I'm longing for a type of nature that is untouched, that is really wild. And I'm longing for horizons, for long stretches of land where no building can be witnessed. Long stretches of land with silence, without planes flying in the sky and making this noise. Long stretches of land that speak for themselves. And as I'm speaking about it, I feel this movement inside of me, this longing and this nostalgia, as if I were a feral animal that has been taken out of their natural environment, their natural habitat. And I think many of us, when we feel lost, when we feel desperate, somehow we have disconnected from the earth and from this wilderness that is inside of us and that is also outside. And somehow, at some point, it feels like it's not enough anymore. I'm going to practice meditation. I'm going to practice grounding. I'm going to listen to my emotions. I'm going to have a conversation with someone. I'm going to play with my cat. Of course, those things are, if they are deeply embodied, they can be so powerful and helpful on this journey of connecting back to the wilderness inside of us. But it's like, at some point, it becomes too small. It's like the soul is longing for more. The soul is feeling too restricted in this kind of small life, small envelope, small container. Everything is small. And I think it's something that really surprised me when I went to California in May this year, was that how wide landscapes were compared to here, and how nature would stretch in a way that felt like I was being contained in it instead of feeling oppressed by the buildings and not seeing the sky and all that. So there's this ache inside. There's this longing, this yearning for something big. Something big that is me, that is within me. Also something big that is outside, expressed in different ways. Expressed in ways that are different from the mechanical, different from the machines that have become so prevalent in today's world. A life that is wider, a life that is freer, that is more attuned, more connected to the present moment. A life that is more instinctive, more truthful, more embodied, and ultimately more lived, more fully lived. And I have this ache because not only do I long for this, but also I see around me a whole bunch of people who are unaware that they need it too, and who feel so isolated and so sad without knowing where it comes from. And so the ache is not only from the longing, but also from a certain type of powerlessness that comes with this observation around of the world around me. But the wild is calling, and we cannot ignore this call for too long. It's already speaking about what's needing to change, and it's been speaking for a while, but we haven't listened. And now it feels like a tipping point. It feels like a crossroads where we have to choose what type of world we want to live in. If there's chaos, and I think we cannot avoid it right now, how are we going to handle this chaos? From which place are we going to confront this outer and inner chaos? Where and how are we going to find our courage to confront that? Yeah, that's the question that I'm asking myself, really. For me, courage can only come from a certain type of faith and trust. And those are developed, well, I think we have a seed of it inside of us, but we develop faith and trust through experience and through putting ourselves in situations that show us our resources and show us our deep intelligence, our deep knowing, our deep connectedness to everything around us, and how we can intuitively or instinctively make the moves that are aligned and correspond to the situations we are running towards. So I guess how I want to conclude this episode, which might sound a little bit, I don't want to say negative, but I could say negative. I would say it's more like a full moon episode. It was the full moon yesterday. Yeah, an episode of confrontation to, okay, who am I and what do I really want? And in that process of following what I really want, who I really want to be, what behaviors and habits and comfortable patterns do I have, or do I choose to release and to leave behind? What is being asked of me in this next period? How does the chaos of the outside world help me to understand what is my role and how to play it? And how can I do all of that without pressuring myself and in a way that feels alive and true? How can I be close to my soul in this process with all the grief, all the fear, and also the new ideas, the joy, the excitement? Of course, I'm excited about the idea of going to places, walking, going horseback, riding for days and weeks and maybe months. You know, that's one of my oldest dreams. Be in this untamed nature for long stretches of time and not have a choice but to be and to reconnect. What is your version of that? What is your version of reconnecting to your wild nature? We all have this need inside of ourselves, reconnecting to our wild nature. So what's your version of that right now, with all the uncomfortable questioning it might imply, with all the excuses of obligation and responsibilities that this modern world has put on our shoulders? How can we choose ourselves? How can we decide what we make out of this life, this short life that is ours? This was my message for today. I was really inspired, and I want to say a big thank you for you to have listened and to be part of this beautiful community that we are building together. And I hope to speak to you very soon. Next week, probably. Have a beautiful day and week.